Welcome to VisorGP. Today we're tackling the interesting question how to stay on the bike, how to get going, how to get started, and how to find ways to advance. So I will be creating more specific guides for each of these things later, but this is the basics. So if I forget something there, like here, I'll address it in later videos. You can use rewind if you're new. So if you fall, you can just rewind it back. But as you get going, I recommend not using rewind. You can always use it, but I don't use it because I want to have some consequences for falling down. So then I'm more motivated to learn how to stay up consistently. So first we're gonna put some more fuel so we can ride. And I'm going to, I recommend setting, just to get used to the physics and how to actually ride the bike, I recommend setting a soft front tire, hard rear tire. So it's the most difficult for you in the beginning. And also I put a bigger disc in the front so we can get an easier stoppie. This is everything you don't want in a time attack situation. And for ECU, we're gonna set traction control and anti-wheelie, turn them off as far as they go. Engine brake, let's say 3. And we're just gonna go ride. First of all, why would you want to play from the first person view? Because it's much more immersive. It feels more like MotoGP. Once you're overtaking, it feels like you're actually overtaking. It's more exciting. It's more visual. And from this view, entering a corner, you can see the entry, apex, and exit points before you enter. So all you have to do is just line up, and you rarely go too fast, like way too fast into a corner. It's pretty simple math compared to the helmet view. But this, to me, feels like MotoGP. You're actually on the bike. You feel the overtakes. You feel braking. Braking actually feels like a thing, it has some drama to it. And you have to learn the tracks because you can't see much at all. I think you can see like 50% less from this view. You have to learn, not only do you have to relearn entry, apex, and exits, unless it's like really in your muscle memory, you also have to learn in between those steps. Like you might use your previous experience and ease up on the throttle way too early, and you have to relearn everything in a completely different way. But to me, it's worth it. And you're not going to be playing online from this mode. So this is just an immersion mode. And if you have been racing with 100% fast AI and you come to this mode, you're going to be 6 seconds, 7 seconds down every lap. So just set the AI to your level so you can actually ride with other riders. That's how you actually learn, and we're gonna get to that point later. So why did we just make life difficult and turn anti-wheelie and put bigger brakes and everything? because I want you to get a grip on how, not just the physics, but how braking should be done optimally, how the throttle should be done optimally. Because if you just treat it like on and off, you're gonna crash a whole lot. You're gonna crash all the time and wonder, why did I crash? It's because you were at 100% braking at an angle and not good. 25 really doesn't have a deep physics system because you can basically play it on and off. That's why I came here, because as soon as you grab the brake, it's gonna throw the rear into the air. So just be calm. If I'm on the, so I can't brake 100%, so I have to manage the throttle like in a car. And in car simulation games, the technique is to instantly go to 100% and then start easing off. But if you do the same here, it's gonna lift the rear, so except in MotoGP 25 at the moment. But with bikes, you wanna go to like 30% and then 80%, maybe 100% for a moment, and then ease off into the corner. And with the throttle, your tires will spin up instantly and your nose will lift if you go to full throttle. And even if you have traction control and you just go full throttle, depending on the game, in MotoGP 21, if you just go on and off with the throttle and brake, it's gonna wear out the tires in a full length race really soon. So you have to be patient before you go on throttle. So anti-wheelie at the bottom, you'll learn to manage that. And just enjoy, take a couple of laps, enjoy the view, try to stay up, brake early. In this way you learn to brake really early and really smoothly, and that's really the key. And same, being smooth with every input, just slowly learning the lines, just enjoying it. I promise you, we'll get to the point last where you can see that it's not really rocket science to be able to enjoy this game from this view. But that's the basics for the physics. If you have all the riding aids on from the beginning, it's gonna make life more difficult for you to learn this game. And I'm teaching you so you don't make the same mistakes that I've made. For example, I have played the guitar circuit maybe 600 hours to 1,200 hours. Is hard to calculate, but 80% of my playing, or like 60% of my playing, or 50% of my playing in the last 13 years have been guitar, because I had the difficulty way too high, and I just wanted to have the pace realistic, but then it was impossible, and I'll explain why. So I just restarted the championships. Guitar was always first. So don't do the same thing. And if you have to restart a championship, rearrange the order so the same track isn't the first one. Because the more tracks you learn, the more you can adapt to different tracks and learn different things. But that's for the physics. Let's wheelie into the next game. One more thing about the physics. It's so good to learn with the riding aids turned as low as they go, because then you'll know what they're there for. Then you can be effective using the riding aids. now we're in MotoGP 25, and we're gonna tackle, now that you have some grip of handling the bike, how do you actually stay up and get faster lap times? First to understand is when you're on the side of the tire and you brake hard, it's easier to lose the front. So it's always safer to do most of the braking while you're upright. And then the more lean angle you have, the less you can actually use the brake, or it'll give out. Except in MotoGP 25 physics, those physics don't apply often. Now they did, but it's very hard to lose the front. So, and also, so that's how you can minimize a lot of the risk. When you approach a corner, you try to get a line where you can stay up for longer and then lean in. And the straighter line, even if you're at an angle, the straighter line you have, and the less you change the angle, the safer you're gonna be. So if I'm going into, let's say, this last corner here, I'm gonna aim the bike towards the corner. Now I have a really long straight line I can brake in. And here I'm gonna choose a straight line here, or it's like a curve. Smooth on the throttle. I'm gonna aim this way and brake in a straight line. I'm gonna aim this way and brake in a straight line for a while. And here, the same thing. I'm gonna turn the bike, brake in a straight line, and then turn. It's so much safer. And from the outside view, these are things you don't have to think about, because you can just figure it out visually. Here you have to think about more of the details. And if the rear steps out, you don't see it very easily. And because we still don't have trigger vibrations on PC for Xbox or PlayStation, it's even more difficult. So it's really important that you learn to ride in a smooth way. If you just try to get a super fast one lap time and go to a race, you're gonna do one lap really well and the others really badly. You're gonna fall, and then it's no use. So it's good to learn how to be smooth, but it's also good to test the limits. And one thing for braking safely is to first use the rear brake, especially in earlier games so I would use the rear brake now, front brake now, let go of the rear brake now. I brake super early, but still, that's the technique. In every hard braking point. And if in a game like MotoGP 21, where tire life is really crucial, you don't want to be on the rear brake, even if it stops you faster. Like usually, I would use rear brake here for that moment, like a second. But if I would use it all the time in MotoGP 21, the rear tires would wear out really quickly. So that's one thing to think about. But in every hard braking point, you want to use the rear brake for a moment at least, because right before you start applying the front brake, because it settles the bike so that the rear doesn't lift. Again, MotoGP 25 physics, you can just brake even under, like in downhill, I didn't use any rear brake. The rear barely lifted at all. But here I would definitely use the rear brake first for a moment. Here, and also if you have a corner where you need to change directions really quickly, I find that the rear brake is really good. It helps to turn the bike. I'm using the rear brake now to turn it a little bit, because it's helping to step the rear out and then direct the bike towards the corner. And I use it in the few corners. I use it in a lot of corners in this track too. I use it here to turn the bike this way just slightly, and also this is such a similar corner, it's just with a higher speed, but I use the rear brake to turn the bike this way just slightly. And I find it's a safe way to approach corners. And here as well, I want to be on the inside, so I'm using the rear brake just a little bit. Of course, I'm not doing optimal lap times here, but I'll have plenty of footage on my channel where I'm actually playing the game. And if you're brand new to racing games, what you want to do in most tracks, most corners, is to go from the outside and then go to the apex where it's optimal. Here it would be like here, through here, again outside, so we can carry a faster speed to the apex, to another apex, and then to the exit. Entry point here, we turn here, and then we find the apex here. We go to the outside. We don't go to the inside, because if we go to the outside, we can carry a higher speed. And just, you can even go to this view, use the rear brake to turn, because now you can see what I'm doing and how the bike is behaving. If I don't use the rear brake here, the rear is not going to step out much, and it's going to bounce if it does. But if I use the rear brake, it's going to be much better. Let's see if I can demonstrate it here. Like this. And there's another corner coming up where I use the rear brake here. Sometimes it doesn't do anything, but like you don't need to do the Marc Marquez thing every corner, but still I find that it stabilizes the bike and helps it turn. At least it's keeping the rear safer, because it's not going to bounce. And just enjoy the physics, learn how to do stoppies, learn how to do wheelies. Just enjoy the game, enjoy the physics. Look at the bike, look around the bike. From this angle you can't see the clutch spinning, but just get a feel for the bike, and then you have a better feeling when you're riding from the first person view. So if you would do just those two things, learning the physics and basically learning more about the physics, you could still spend hundreds of hours and not feel like you're riding in a confident way that you could compete against the AI. So how do we do that? That's the magic sauce. One component to that is to race the championship. You can set it to 50% length. You can set it to however many races you want. But complete championships, you start and add different stages to that, different tracks. But how you can really improve is setting the difficulty low enough so you can actually follow riders. So we're going to go to a new Grand Prix. We're going to set it to just 20. My level is 50 at the moment, where I feel I can be comfortable, and it might raise to 60, 80 someday. I don't really care. I just enjoy playing at my level and enjoy getting better. So let's go to Qatar. Just any practice where you can follow other riders. The reason you don't want a really high difficulty, even if you're playing at 120% difficulty from the outside view, you might want to start from 40%. And it sounds crazy, because why would you want to step down so much? Well, if your pace is at 40%, you want it at 40%. And there's a very good reason for that. If you're just going at your pace, which if it's 4 seconds or 6 seconds slower, or even 2 seconds slower than the AI, they're gonna treat you like you've stopped in the middle of the track. If you're in the apex, in the inside of the corner, and you're going 5 seconds slower per lap than they are, they're at full speed, you're basically stopped. Why would they stop to care about you? You're like a turtle on the track. They're not gonna have mercy on you because you're slow. So to have safe, because if you have much faster AI than your level, they're just gonna mow you down. You're not gonna finish a single race, or you're just gonna avoid everything and ride last. Like, in neither case, you're not gonna learn anything. So we've set it to 20 now. You have some experience of the game, learning the physics, and you can see that they're not going super fast. So if they're going at baby speeds to you, set it a little higher, but still set it low enough so you can follow the riders consistently, and also overtake them in a confident way. Because if I'm ahead of these guys, I don't even know what gear I'm on. If I go ahead of these guys and they would be much faster, and I would go into this corner like at this speed, like not feeling really confident, they would just mow me down like I'm nothing. So that's why you want to have the AI set low first, so you can be confident when you overtake, because you don't have the reference anymore from the outside view of where everything is, even though they can surprise you still. This is way too slow for me, especially on this track. So I'm gonna go set it to my level. We're gonna set the difficulty to 54. I tried it at 50 and it was a little too easy. For some reason, I don't know if it's just this Grand Prix, but this game is setting things to semi-automatic for me. It could be just this. No, maybe I just have to adjust it in the beginning, just in the beginning of every Grand Prix and every season, hopefully. But like, I noticed that the computer was switching gears for me, and I was like, what? So if that happens to you, go check your settings. rubber on the track, and we have some riders on the track. We're just gonna select soft and just set the recommended setup. I might have, no, it's good. Now we're just gonna go out. We have a full gas tank, but it shouldn't matter much. Nobody's doing qualifying times at the moment. The reason why you want to learn different tracks and not just replay one track till you master it, because if you master one track, that even if you could beat the AI at 100% in a race, which has happened to me in many races, and then I go to the next, if I'm just a perfectionist in one track, and then I go to the next track, I'm 10 seconds slower, or like 40 seconds slower in a race. Like just learning each track at your own pace and not spending too much time on one track is really gonna help you. Because when you learn a corner in one track, you're pretty good at it at another two. So this is pretty close to my level where we're at 54. And just in the practices, I like to have damage on in my practice sessions and damage off in my races, because in the races they'll just destroy your bike. You can't avoid collisions from this point of view. But learn how to ride close with the AI, be comfortable. If it's really uncomfortable to overtake them, maybe the difficulty setting is too high, because you need to have some confidence to overtake. Let's say here, because I need to know I have the pace for this inside of the corner, and still in a long race, you're gonna lose focus. Like even if it seems easy at first, your tires are gonna wear. You're gonna go wide in one corner, they're gonna catch up. But just spending time with the AI is really the key to mastering these tracks, because then you can see a real-time reference, because you don't have the outside view reference anymore. From the other riders, you can see a reference of how you should approach a corner, and you can find faster lines that they're taking. You can find your strengths, you can discover their weaknesses, and it's so much fun this way. Because I've spent hundreds of hours, if not over 1,000 hours on this one track alone, this difficulty is way too easy for me. But still in a race, it might be challenging to play with this difficulty, we'll see. But that's the basics. Now you can enjoy the game. You can start today. You can start it or get a couple of laps today, learn to stay on the bike, set the difficulty to the lowest. You can start a full-length championship if you want to. And to me, this is so much more immersive than the outside view, that even though you're not gonna get the lap times or praise from whatever lap time community there is, like this is where it's at to me. This is racing on a MotoGP bike. This is so much more amazing. It doesn't matter where the difficulty setting is. At 54 or at 50 or even probably at 45, even at maybe at 30, the AI is already gonna be like, it doesn't slow down too much anywhere, and you can learn where it slows down so you can avoid it. But it's a great experience. More people should be racing that way. That's why my channel is here, to teach you everything you need to know. We're gonna go to more details in separate videos. But now you can get started in this game and it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have full-length races coming soon, so you can see how I'm actually going about a full-length race from this view, and if I'll survive till the end or not. And please subscribe, like, much more content coming soon. Bye.